Yo, what up? Hey, what's up, guys? So, this is enrichment learning for the week of April 13th through the 17th. This is for my English 2 and drama classes. As you're going to see, we're going to kind of do both of these together, but the requirements for students who have English 2 as opposed to students who have drama or students who have both are going to change. So this week we will be studying the poems by Naomi Shihab Nye, who's one of my favorite poets, and the poem we're going to study today is one of my favorite poems, who gives voice to her experience as an Arab American through poems about heritage and peace that overflow with a humanitarian spirit. So this unit has 3 assignments, and you must complete 2 of them. Students who have me for both English 2 and drama can complete all 3 of them. All right? So the first assignment, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to the Poetry Foundation website and research the background of Naomi Shihab Nye, and I'm going to provide a link, and I'm going to actually show you guys how to do it on this video. And once you go to that website and you pull up her background, very interesting background, you're going to write a 3-paragraph summary of her life, works, and background using quotes from the website as supporting details. So you're going to summarize and use quotes to support your paper. Now let's talk about summarization, a quick review to enrich the learning. The things that you are supposed to do when you summarize and the things that you're not supposed to do when you summarize are important, because a lot of times when students summarize, we know that they end up copying the whole thing, or summarizing is harder than it seems. There's some nuances. So let's talk about the things you want to do when you summarize. Most importantly, when you summarize, you want to look for the main ideas and most important points. Sometimes when you read a paragraph, the first sentence of the paragraph might provide a summary sentence, or the last sentence of the paragraph. All right? So you want to provide important details. That's the most important thing. What you don't want to do when you summarize is, obviously, you don't want to copy the whole thing down. You don't want to include subpoints and supporting details that are not the main idea of the passage. And one of the tricks for summarizing is you can think of the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, why. If you do the who, what, when, where, and why, a lot of times that'll keep you to the main points. So that's the first assignment, but we're going to go back over that. Assignment number 2 is you're going to read the poem Kindness by Naomi Shihab Nye and watch the author read the poem on a video, and I'm going to provide you with both of those links in a moment, and you can see them. And this is all going to be on Google Classroom, as you're going to see. So what you're going to do is you're going to answer the following in a 3-paragraph essay using quotes from the poem to support your answer. What is the theme of the poem? And you can look at the title for a hint. Remember, the title a lot of times gives you a hint for the theme. And how does this theme apply to what is happening in the world today? Everybody knows what's going on today with the pandemic and things, which is why schools have been canceled throughout the rest of the school year. So this poem is really interesting in the way that it applies to the theme of today. All right? And one thing I want to tell you guys before I show you this video, when you're talking about theme, there's a good quote by Robert Frost that we talked about before, when Robert Frost talked about poetry. When Robert Frost was asked about poems, he said, "Poems begin in delight and end in wisdom." All right? And what does that mean? Okay, we talked about what that means. It means a poem should do 2 things. It should entertain you, but it should also give you a piece of wisdom. And like with all artwork, whether we're talking about poetry or novels or music or film or anything, if it's done well, it will not only entertain you, but it will also give you a little bit of a lesson. You'll walk away a little bit smarter after you read it or experience it. So that's one way you can think about theme. The theme is that wisdom that you can come away with after you read a poem. And remember, a theme is not only a main idea, but a theme is also a message or a lesson that you can learn. And when we're talking about the theme in this work, we're going to be looking at the message or the lesson. All right, and then the final assignment that you can do is I want you to select and read another poem by Naomi Shihab Nye and I'm going to provide a link. You're going to research it. You're going to go on this website, research it, find another poem by her, and in a 3-paragraph essay, I want you to compare this poem that you select to the poem Kindness, and I want you to do a comparison contrast using quotes from both poems to support your answer. And remember, as a way to begin, you can always use tag. You can turn the question into a statement, answer it, give examples. You could also use the ACE strategy, answer, cite, explain. So that'll always help keep you focused on the answer to make sure you're answering the questions. So if you're in the English 2, you can do 2 of the 3. If you're in the drama, you can do 2 of the 3. If you're in both English and drama, you can do all 3. All right. So the final thing I want to let you know is when you do these 3 assignments, I want you to submit them all on one Google Doc through Google Classroom, so it'll keep it more organized. So please submit all assignments in one Google Doc through Google Classroom. Please label each assignment clearly, so assignment number 1, and then your essay, assignment number 2, your essay, assignment number 3, your essay, and then submit them all on Google Classroom. All right, so I'm going to this is all going to be on Google Classroom, the instructions, the links. But what I want to do now is I want to walk you through some of the poems and videos that are really interesting and put that up on the screen. All right, let me walk you guys through the Google link so you can find this information on the poet we're going to study. So what you're going to do, real simple, go to Google. You're going to go and put in the search engine Naomi Shihab Nye and the poem Kindness, which is what we're going to study. So you put that in the search engine. All right, you hit search. The first thing that's going to come up is her poem Kindness, which you're going to click on. This is from poets.org, which is the Academy of American Poets, and you're going to see her poem Kindness, which is a really good poem, one of my favorites, and it really applies to what's happening today. So you're going to read the poem. Again, you're going to pick out the theme. You're going to analyze the theme, look for the hint in the title. How does that theme apply to what's happening today? And you're going to write a 3-paragraph essay analyzing that. All right, just to help you get some background on this, here is a site that you can use to hear the author herself read the poem. So if you go to YouTube, you do the same thing. You put her name in the search, Kindness. What's going to come up is Kindness, and then you can see her read the poem herself, which is interesting, which is what I'm going to play for you guys.
Kindness. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, this must go, so you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. He too was someone who journeyed through that night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend.
Okay, so that's a really interesting poem. And then one other thing I'm going to show you guys, provide to you, if you want to hear the background on this poem, how she came up with it, how she wrote it. It's amazing. You can do a Google search, and you can originally, one of the results that come up is also kindness. And this is another version where she explains how she wrote this poem, how she came to write it. She actually wrote the poem. She was on her honeymoon with her husband, and she was trying to spend all this time traveling from the top of South America down. And on the way down, they ran into some trouble. The bus they were on got robbed, and someone actually got killed. And she was really scared, her and her husband, and they had nothing left. They had everything taken. They had nowhere to go. And the stranger actually took them in and showed them kindness, and that's where she came up with the idea. So here's her explaining that in her own words.
I wrote kindness. I actually was the secretary for kindness. After my husband and I were robbed of everything on our honeymoon, long, long ago. And it was a rather desperate situation. Someone on the same bus with us was murdered. So we didn't get the worst brunt of the evening, but it was rough. And what to do next? This was in the pre-cell phone day and pre-internet day, and we didn't want to call home because we were in South America on our honeymoon, and everybody had told us we were crazy to attempt to do what we were going to try to do, which was foiled after a week because we had nothing. So we were going to try to go from the top of South America to the bottom by bus. And a man came up to us and was very kind. And afterwards just spoke to us and was kind. And so afterwards I was trembling. I was very, very anxious. And I just sat. The only thing I had left was a little tiny notebook and a pencil that had been in my back pocket. And I sat in a public plaza in Popayan. And this poem was spoken out of the air to me. And I just copied it down.
Okay, so that's a little background on it, just to add to the assignment. So what you guys are going to do is read the poem, analyze it, and then compare it to life today.